Okay, so the pyramid can have different trickiness on its formulas because sometimes I give you the slant and then I want you to find the height. And sometimes you're going to get the height and you're going to actually need the slant. So the slant is on the outside of the object. Does that make sense? If you could physically touch a pyramid, you could touch the slant. But the height is in the center of that object, and you would never be able to physically touch the height. Does that make sense? It's inside the middle of this object. So then, if you think about the bottom part of this triangle, okay, that is going to be half of a side. Does that make sense? If I look at my W side, this yellow part is half of that W, right? Can you visualize it? That's also inside the object, like you're visualizing that inside. Okay, so this is going to be a squared, b squared, c squared stuff, right? Pythagorean theorem. So keep that in mind when you're working with pyramids. So the slant and the height are different things, okay? That goes with the volume and with the surface area. Great, so finding the surface area of a cylinder. So do you remember what the cylinder is? Cylinder shape. So it has a radius of 4. And it has a height of 7. So that's what we know. Be careful again on these formulas. The one other thing I can trick you with is giving you diameters, and then you have to figure out radius. Okay, so watching for the word. Okay, so finding a surface area formula, so you don't have to write this down because you're looking at your sheet, so I'm just going to write it on mine. Okay, so this is the formula for a cylinder. Okay, so what are these parts of the formula? So why does it say 2 pi r squared? So do you recognize pi r squared from something maybe in grade like 7? Pi r squared. What's it the formula for? Does anybody? It's just a circle. Okay, so if I have 2 circles, what part of the shape is this talking about? It'd be talking about the top and the bottom, right? Okay, that's going to be important to understand because when we get into composite objects, I might stack another shape on top of it. Okay, so that's important to understand. And the 2 pi RH, does anybody recognize this formula from your junior high math? 2 pi r. It is a formula, or pi d, circumference. Okay, so if I do the circumference h amount of times, what part of the shape is that talking about? All the, can you visualize it? This is a circumference, circumference, circumference the whole time. So it's talking about the, what do we want to call this? Outside shell? I don't know what to say. Okay, the shell part of the cylinder. Okay, so now let's fill in. So 2 times pi times 4 squared plus 2 times pi times 4 times 7. Okay, you should be able to type that fluently all at once. Okay, so let's go ahead and please make sure you're not just waiting to see the answer, that you're typing, because the typing is the most important part, that you know how to do the calculator's work. Okay, area equals, and then when you're working, again, you have to do 2 decimal places accurately, or else I'll deduct a little bit for rounding. And I'm also going to deduct if you don't put anything or the wrong thing on the end. So the measurement stuff was all in centimeters, and because this is area, you should be putting centimeters squared. Okay, so now we have a rectangular prism. Okay, so this is kind of the object we're thinking of, a rectangular prism. So we have a 2 by 3 by 5. Okay, so this one, I don't really ever use the formula, to be honest. This is the formula. 2WL, 2WH, 2HL. Okay, I don't use it. I go like this. Top, bottom. So the top and the bottom of the box. What's the dimensions of my top? It's a 5 times 3 rectangle. And guess what? There'll be 2 of them, right? Because top and bottom. Then I think about it like this. What's the front and back of the box? So it looks like the front would be a 5 times 2 square, or rectangle, sorry. 5 times 2. Doubled, because there's a front and a back. Then I look at the sides of the box. So the side of the box is a 3 by 2. And then there's 2 of them. Okay? So you can type that all at once, or you can separate it. Okay, so you can go separately, you can just go all at once if you would like, but we should still get to the same answer. Anybody matching my 62 number? Okay, and then inches squared. So next we have a sphere. So 7 inches. Okay, so finding a formula, and again, I'm okay if you don't write the formula, but I'm expecting that to at least be your first line. Okay, 4 pi times 7 squared. Please type it. Give you a moment, make sure you're typing it, make sure we're matching, rounding, units. Good? Matched? Okay, so the next, this one is the tricky shape. So we have we want to find volume and surface area. So this is the pyramid. Okay, so let's find the slant. So let's do some work here and let's get the slant. So 5 is considered the height. Don't be too confused with this h being hypotenuse. That's not what it is. I'm just saying it's the height. What kind of number should I put on the bottom of this little triangle? So this part right here is 2, yeah. You see it? It's only 2 because it's half of that 4. Okay, so can you get me the slant to 2 decimal places? So you give me an a squared plus b squared. Two decimal places giving me an a squared plus b squared and then square root, right? Okay, so let's go volume first. Asking me to do both. So the volume formula, length, width, height, and then you have to divide it by 3. So we have 4 times 4 times a 5 over 3. Length of the bottom, width of the bottom. Bless you. Okay, is that number good? 26.67? Okay, so area, again, there's a formula here, but I'm going to kind of think about it like this. So the length times the width part of it is the bottom plus the triangles. That's what we're going to do. So the bottom, so what kind of bottom is it going to be? This is the bottom, the base. So that's just a 4 by 4. Okay, so now I really need you to visualize something that's looking at the side of the pyramid. So think about this, looking at this. Okay, if you could look at the side of that, do you see that this height of that triangle is 5.39 and the base is 4? Okay, this is not on your paper, it's on the other side. So a triangle, how do you do the area of a triangle? Base times height divided by 2. Base times height halved. That is one triangle. I actually am going to have 4 of those triangles happening, right? They're all the same triangle. Because this is a 4 by 4 bottom, they are all the same. Okay, so now it's just the typing part. But could you see that yellow triangle, right? When you look at that triangle flat. Make sure your number matches to 2 decimals. Okay, page 13, the top of page 13. Okay, so here's what we have. This is a slant. Can you visualize that triangle. That right? It's inside the object, right? Okay, so the slant was 10. On my yellow triangle, you're visualizing that yellow triangle. What would be along the bottom of that yellow triangle? The bottom, so this distance right here, think about what that would be. Did you get a 1.5 out of that? Because this was 3, this yellow part is 1.5. Okay? Can you get me a height measurement now? You have to do 10 squared minus, right? The Pythagorean subtraction version. Pythagorean subtraction. Okay, how did that go? 9.89? Okay, so why is this triangle harder than the one we did in our book? Because this is 4 and this is 3, they're different. So here, I have to make you visualize another interior triangle. Okay, so now I can transfer 9.89 as a height, no matter what. Now I'm looking at my pink triangle. Okay, what is along the bottom of this pink triangle? What is along the bottom part? So just that little section right there. 2? Okay, get me the slant of this side. Okay, it's the add version. Okay, I got a 10.09. Somebody match. No one's arguing. Okay, so it says find volume and surface area. So volume is easy. We have all the info for that. Length with height over 3. So the length and width are 3, 4, and the height is 9.89. Okay, the bottoms times the height. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now let's go with the area. So first of all, what's the area of the bottom? It's 3 times 4. The area of the bottom, so that's a little square on the bottom, 3 times 4. Okay, we have to treat this all separately now. So this triangle, okay, let's do the yellow. Okay, so what is the height of it? 10. And then the 4 is on the bottom. So base times height over 2. How many of those yellow triangles would you see? you would see two of them, right? The two sides will be the same. So I'm going to do 4 times 10 over 2. I'm going to double that. Okay, so last time it was easier because we just had the same triangle 4 all the way around. But this time, okay, I need you to visualize this pink triangle. So the pink triangle has a 3 on the bottom. The base of it is 3. What is the height of that? So again, if you could look at it flat, can you visualize what the height of it is? 10.09. Okay, so remember these slants are on the outside so that when you talk about the height of the flat triangle, it's really the slant. Yeah. Okay, and then do you see that that's in the front? So you have a doubled triangle in the back. Bless you. Okay, so I really need you to focus on that visualization part of this. Okay, so visualizing, you have to visualize this interior Pythagorean idea. Okay, you really have to start visualizing that. Okay? Should we make a note for ourselves? Just a reminder, slant outside equals height of just the triangle, right? The slant on the outside is the height on your flat triangles. Okay? Slants on that are heights on triangles. Okay, not the height of the pyramid itself. Got that all lined up in your brain with that visualization?